Tell us what's happened when you got pulled over. So, but for the people that want to know from A to Z, everything that happened in that case, he'll explain it to him. What about the argument that in a post 9/11 world, that type of theatrics will not work? What
That's
about that?
exactly where I was just going to go. Some of the other comments are, this happened before 9/11. You can't go to court and you can't do this now. Well, that's simply not true. I've proven what I do works. I just finished a trial in December 2019, 3-day trial. I learned back in 2011 the Department of Motor Vehicles took some action against my license. I don't know what they did because they wouldn't tell me. So I didn't discover this until 2 years later, after all statute of limitations had expired. But when I learned about it in 2013, I not only requested a hearing the very next day, I included my England Jennings reservation. Yeah. Again, want to try issues of federal question or constitutional rights violations in a federal forum. If you deny me a hearing, that's a denial of due process. That if you use defective processes to deny me a hearing, those are federal issue questions. So I got pulled over 4 or 5 times over the last 7 years, and I would tell the police what happened, and I'd show them these 3 letters that I wrote to the Department of Motor Vehicles requesting a hearing. Each and every one of these officers said, I'm not going to get involved. They exercised their discretion. They said, this doesn't sound right. They read the 3 letters because I keep them in my briefcase with me all the time. Well, I got pulled over back in 2018, and I said the same thing. Hey, I got these 3 letters, requested a hearing, and they were wearing body cam video, and I realized that about a few minutes into it, and I'm like, hey, if I didn't get an administrative hearing, let's have a hearing right here on the side of the highway. Let's videotape it all.
Yeah.
So the cop's telling me, hey, your license is suspended. Well, part of a driving on a suspended license, revoked or expired, the first key word is knowingly. Well, I know the law. I know what processes are required. If you don't employ the law and you don't use the proper processes, I have no knowledge of a legal suspension against my license.
Yeah. If you don't have the intent, then it's not a crime.
So I get pulled over. I get this citation. I go to the arraignment. They kept saying, hey, we want to give you a public defender. And I kept objecting. And so the judge says, well, then you have to sign this document. I'm like, I'm not signing this document because it says I'm incompetent. I don't know the law. Representing myself is a mistake. I know the law. I know the procedure. I don't think it's a mistake. I'm not going to sign this. I told the judge he could sign it. And he was just out of his game. He's like, well, everybody does this, or we do this all the time. Everybody signs it. And there's a bailiff there shoving this paper in my face. Sign this, sign this, sign this. And I'm like, no, thank you. Please leave me alone. Yeah. So in the initial arraignment, I state my appearance for the record. And the judge is all like, well, we don't really do that here. And I'm like, well, now I want to put my England Jennings reservation on the record. He's like, I don't know what that is. We don't do that here. Took him totally out of his game. He was frustrated. I'm like, well, you have to let me make my record, Your Honor. And then here's your public defender if you can't afford an attorney. And they feed you into the system. Well, I know a little more than that. So I start out with, hey, I can't enter a plea of guilty, not guilty, no contest, unless I'm fully aware of what it is they're charging me with and what is the basis for their charge. So I ask for discovery. The judge says, come back in 2 weeks. I come back in 2 weeks. He wants to do the arraignment again. I say, I'm going to file a demur. I'm going to challenge the sufficiency of the complaint. Oh, come back in another 2 weeks. Yeah. So I come back after the demur. I discover there's body cam video. They provide me a disc that has a few minutes worth of video on it. And I look at the police report and it says they were on scene for 28 minutes. Well, where's the rest of the video? So I knew video was missing.
That you got how many in that CD that they gave you? How much time of body camera footage did you get?
There's about 15, 16 minutes.
So there's roughly 12 minutes are missing, right?
Yep.
And the body camera footage you see, was the camera going on and off? Was it just a straight 12 minutes and then the next 16 were gone, or it was straight 16, or was it on and off? Was it cut up? In other words,
the first video they gave me had car camera video, but then they used the audio from the body cam. So they used video from one source and audio from another, where the two were never originally married together. That's manufacturing evidence. That's a violation of Penal Code 131. That's a felony.
She sent a message to the president that in San Francisco, we don't put children in cages, we put them in the classroom. So
Court expired in 2016.
I issued subpoenas for all these records, all these videos. They didn't comply. So over the next 14 months, I filed 7, 8 motions saying I want discovery. This is a Brady violation. Brady was a paramount case, Brady versus Maryland. That can be found at 373 U.S. at page 83. It's a 1963 case. The primary holding, the government's withholding of evidence that is material to the determination of either guilt or punishment of a criminal defendant violates the defendant's constitutional right to due process.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking eventually something's going to happen here. Well, we get to trial. And all 7 motions for discovery for Brady violations. I did motions for sanctions, motions to disqualify the district attorney. I alleged they were perpetrating a fraud on the court. The judge kept denying all these motions. Fine, we're going to trial. Well, the second day, they put the cop on the stand. An hour before lunch, he finishes. I get an hour. We go to lunch. I have 4 hours with the officer for cross-examination all afternoon. I set him up for the Perry Mason moments. There was a standby officer on the scene. He was talking to me. Anytime you engage with a citizen, you must turn on your video camera. So I knew there was another video that wasn't even mentioned. I issued subpoenas for all these records, all these videos. They didn't comply. I get the officer on the stand and I ask him, your partner was there, Officer so-and-so. Do you know if he recorded video? He said yes. And then he admitted that he watched it. Well, that was the first big problem. He said there was no video. Then he says there was video and he watched it. The district attorney said for 14 months, there's no video, and wouldn't produce it.
I would have loved to see the district attorney's face when he admitted that he watched the other video. I guarantee she was behind your back or he was, oh my, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Shut up.
So we come in the next morning and the district attorney comes over and says, yeah, we have a discovery issue. Well, 2 days earlier, I had a friend of mine go serve subpoenas for all the video again, and the 2 officers. That stirred up a hornet's nest. The DA comes in the next morning and goes, I got a call from the police last night at 11:30. They were all distraught and upset. They found this missing video. And the district attorney's standing there with this disc in his hand. He gives it to me. I didn't have a chance to see it, but he says it's missing video. Well, I say, I object.
I requested 3 times. I have documentation in a file in my briefcase where I sent them 3 letters requesting an administrative hearing, a due process hearing in accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act and their own DMV policies. Would you guys make a note of that I'm certainly disputing that my license is lawfully, legally suspended for disability?
Bring that up with DMV.
Well, I just want to make sure you guys know that, because that's my position. You can't just do this. I know the law. I mean, unfortunately, I've had to argue. You know, and what we're looking at now is deprivation of rights under color of law, DMV, 42 USCS 1983.
So this is an update for the DMV.
Would you guys make a note of that I'm certainly disputing that my license is lawfully?
Okay, you can bring that up with DMV.
I just want to make sure you guys are knowing it, because that's my position. You
Okay.
can't just do this. I know the law. I mean,
I'm sure you do.
I've had to argue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what we're looking at now is deprivation of rights under color of law, DMV, 42 USCS 1983.
So this is an update for the DMV.
So I'm sitting there thinking, he testified he saw it, he testified he didn't have it, he testified it didn't exist, and then they hand it to me. I'm like, well, this is crazy. So they outright lie to the court. Everybody lies. The cops lie.
So the police officer said he saw it. Then the district attorney came back and said he was mistaken. He didn't see it. But then what made them, so it's there out of nowhere, and then no, it's not there again. Why did they do that? Why not just hang on and say it's not
the
there?
district attorney is responsible for everyone on the prosecution's team. The police are considered members of the prosecution's team. Anything the police do that violates the law or your constitutional rights is attributable to the district attorney. So he knew he was in trouble if this officer testifies there's video and I watched it and they didn't produce it. That's a Brady violation. It's unconstitutional. So he tried to cover his rear. The only problem is when I got home to my office later that day and popped in the video, it was the other officer's body cam video. And on that video, I say, hey, DMV didn't give me a hearing. I requested one the next day after discovering there was some event. And there's 3 letters in my briefcase right here that you can read that will prove that to you. It's called exculpatory evidence. Well, the cop didn't look at the letters. He didn't conduct an investigation, and he just wanted to proceed as if the stuff never existed. That's unconstitutional. Hey, 14 months. I went through 10 deputy district attorneys and 14 judges over 14 months on a single misdemeanor, driving on a suspended, revoked, expired license. It's unheard of. They roll them in, they roll them out. They're done in 2-3 weeks at the most. And mine went on for 14 months. Every time I'd appear, they'd offer me a deal. Hey, here, we're going to offer you this deal. And the deals kept getting sweeter and sweeter each time. And I'd just smile and say, no, thank you. And each time the judge would say, hey, can we get you a public defender? And I'm like, definitely no, thank you. So you have to bite on, and you have to hold on, and you have to stand your ground. And if you know the law, then you're capable of doing that. And so the judge is like, do you have any comments? I'm like, yeah, I'm very disappointed. He said, do you have any motions? Yeah, motion to dismiss. Granted. Before he said that, though, the district attorney was making admissions to the court under oath saying there was no video. The officer testified mistakenly. He never saw any video. No video existed. So after my motion to dismiss is granted in my favor, my case is gone, I'm no longer facing a misdemeanor, I file a notice of appeal. Well, that's crazy. Why would you do that?
A favorable decision. And that's funny because I said that I did the exact same thing you did when we go back to this case when you first said there when they asked for what is your plea, and you said I can't possibly plead unless I get discovered. I said in the video I'll be the first person ever to go back to court and try and vacate that motion of a favorable decision. I'll be the first person in history, but I wouldn't have been the first person in history because you have already done that, have you not?
I went to the clerk. You have to go within 30 days of a judgment to file an appeal. If you go 31 days, you miss the deadline, you can't appeal. So I wait, I go on the 30th day, I file this with the clerk, and the clerk's all, well, but you won your case. Well, why would you want to appeal? Hold on. And she goes and gets her manager, and the manager comes, no, you don't want to file this appeal. You won your case. I go, I know, huh? I go, I most definitely want to appeal. I go, I'm either stupid or I know what I'm doing. And they just had this shocked look on their face like, what's this guy doing? Well, there's a reason I did it. Now I'm getting those transcripts on appeal. So we'll hear the district attorney going, yeah, what he testified to yesterday, It was an accident, it was a mistake, actually happened. You'll be able to read the district attorney lying to the judge. It doesn't exist.
It's on the record.
I'll provide you with some clips from the body cam video to say, hey, it does exist. So it was kind of crazy. But yeah, they were like, well, what's he doing? Why would you appeal a favorable decision? Well, because simultaneously I have cases going in the federal court for these very same violations. Withholding evidence, federal violation. Brady.
Yeah.
By not uploading the stuff correctly or not finding it or turning it over, it means that the police and the district attorney, they were not adequately trained. That's called a Monell claim in federal court. You can sue the city or the county for failing to adequately train their employees when it results in a harm or an injury to me. Withholding evidence is a serious harm and injury, and then taking me to trial and trying to get a conviction while you're sitting on an evidence gold mine? It's just so improper. But it happens all the time. It happens every day. I go sit in courts all the time just to study the process, to watch what they do. And I hear it left and right. And I just shake my head going, yep, another Brady violation. Yep, another unconstitutional operation of law.
Yeah. So what happened? Now, what did you get him to say on tape? You let him in. You let him into question.
During the video, the cop starts making admissions. Hey, I know you. I tell him I know the law. He goes, I know you know the law. And he wasn't making a joke. He knew I knew the law. I was citing cases. I was citing authorities. And so then he tells me a few minutes later, I know you believe your license is not legally suspended. Well, thank you, because knowingly is a state of mind crime. It's called mens res. The state of mind. And unless you have the state of mind requisite, they can't find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
I totally understand you don't believe what DMV is correct and stuff. Well, that's your opinion.
We're gonna have to argue.
However, we have to go by what DMV says.
I got you.
Alright, good news for you. Your car's not getting towed.
Oh, man.
However, that being said, you need to take care of your vehicle and your license. Alright?
I have no choice now.
Alright?
I mean, sooner or later the issue is going to get forced. I've been trying not to take us all there.
So
it's just going to get stupid ugly. I'm going to have to file a federal lawsuit. You guys are all going to get involved. I'm going to have to sue the city.
I stood my ground. I mean, that's because I know the law. I stood my ground and said, you do what you do and I'll do what I do and we'll see who comes out in the end. I'm not afraid of you. When you know the law, when you have legal knowledge, you're not intimidated. These people can't steamroll over me. I don't care what they do. Again, I only care what I do. Alexander ruled.